Hey, Dan here, and in this video I'm going to go through 3 things that I personally do not like about living abroad. Now I got to be honest, making this video took a little bit of work in terms of thinking these through. As you probably know already, I'm a big fan of living abroad and have been living outside of my home country for over 4 years now. So I've lived in Costa Rica, all over Europe. I've lived in Germany, Italy, Spain, and now I'm based here in Prague in the Czech Republic. And generally, I'm a big fan, but there are a couple things that definitely I do not like about living abroad. So this first one really is based on not knowing the language, right? Depending on where you're staying, you're going to have better opportunities to learn a language. If you're in a place like Prague where Czech is not an easy language, in fact, it's one of the hardest in the world, I think, to learn, then you're probably not going to speak it very well, and it's going to influence your time abroad. So in my case, I still don't speak very good Czech. And what I really miss with this is the lack of kind of casual, friendly conversations. You know, Europeans love to say that us in North America, we are shallow. We have these fake conversations, right? At Starbucks, you know, how's your day, sir? All this stuff. And yeah, there is some fakeness. Yeah, if you're a Starbucks barista, you have to say that or ask. I also think there's a great benefit from that, that when I lived back home in Canada, that I would often end up, you know, in that small talk, and then it would grow from there. And working for myself, some days I'll be working from home all day. And so if I go out to, you know, grab a coffee, go to the store or whatever, and can't even make that small talk, then it can get a little lonely sometimes. So I personally miss that small talk in terms of just being able to have kind of a 2-minute chat with someone. Yes, a good amount of people here do speak English, but it's still sort of an awkward small talk usually, and the level of English isn't enough to actually kind of engage someone. So the second thing actually builds on this in terms of not speaking the local tongue, and I guess you could take some advice out of this video, is if you can live somewhere where you either speak the local tongue or can pick it up in a year or so, somewhere, you know, Spanish speaking, French, it's easy enough languages. So the second one is that I find my lack of speaking the local tongue actually changes my behavior, and I become a lot more shy and perhaps come off as unfriendly. So where back home in Vancouver, I was actually known by my building manager, I lived in a big apartment building, as the overly friendly guy. You know, I talk to people, you know, always generally be in a good mood, try to be friendly, even be that guy who occasionally talks in the elevator to strangers. I definitely do not do that here. And I've actually found in my building, so I live in a, I guess it's a 5-story building, so there's maybe 15, 20 people who live here, that it's kind of awkward in the halls because most people aren't Czech, but no one knows who is Czech, and a lot of people who aren't Czech don't speak the Czech language. And so you kind of have this awkwardness in the halls where you're like, Dobrý den, kind of, or you say hello. Like I've started saying hello now, so they know I'm an English speaker as well. But it does create sort of an awkwardness with it. And so I found that that's actually changed my behavior, as I said, where I won't kind of be as friendly talking to people, or I won't be as open to going to a place where maybe no one speaks English as I obviously would back home if I could go there and just make conversation and that kind of thing. And so I don't like that, because one of the things I believe is that our mood or behavior in one area of life transfers over to the other. So if I'm spending a lot of the day, you know, feeling a little more shy or not feeling as open to engage with people, that has a change in my personality that I think can carry over into business and just generally confidence, which, as you probably know, I enjoy having a lot of confidence. I don't want to see that beaten down. And the third thing that I do not like about living abroad, although I have solved this problem now here in Prague, is that making quality friends is pretty difficult. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're someone wanting to become an entrepreneur, you know that the people you surround yourself with have a huge impact on your success. And the more you can surround yourself with like-minded people who will support you in whatever your goals are, the easier it is to achieve those goals. And so back home, over, you know, decades, I basically curated this group of friends on some level. And when you're living abroad for maybe 3 or 6 months, you don't have that much selection, right? You're kind of just, oh my God, someone speaks English, I have someone to talk to. And so what I have found is that leads to kind of shallower friendships with people that you probably wouldn't be friends with back home maybe, but you lower your standards in terms of who you might be hanging out with. And also at times it can lead to having the same kind of conversation. When I used to travel in hostels, One of the things I found is that it's the same conversations over and over again, right? You have your Aussie backpackers, your Kiwis, your Canadians, and they're all talking about the same destinations, the same stories, and it gets pretty tiresome pretty quickly. Where you'd rather meet someone who's maybe on your same wavelength and you can engage in that same kind of conversation. And so what I found is now that I've settled into Prague for a couple of years, I've been able to overcome this and make a really quality group of friends here. But when I was just living places for 3 months, 6 months at a time, it was really hard to actually build quality friendships, which, we all like to have friends, right? So you may have noticed that I did not mention bureaucracy, issues getting visa, paperwork, any of that stuff. And you know what? Despite living abroad for over 4 years here, that has never really been a problem for me. Maybe I've been lucky. Maybe I've just, I don't know, got lucky with it. I don't know what it is. I am not a good paperwork guy. I am terrible at paperwork and admin stuff, but it's never really been a problem for me. Here in Czech Republic, I've hired someone to do sort of the basic visa stuff and paperwork I've needed to do. But in general, I just haven't found it to be that bad. And that's living in Europe, kind of the capital of bureaucracy for the world, right? So personally, I haven't found those to be issues in terms of visas, bureaucracy, all that kind of stuff. But I know that's something that people complain about often. Hasn't been an issue for me. Cool. Thank you for watching this video. Do subscribe, and I'll catch you in another one.